Right, sweet. So the first question I have got is when referring to peri-workout nutrition, um, what is the word peri in reference to? And this is like two questions in one. What role do carbs play during workout and post-workout on muscle protein synthesis, MPS? So peri-workout nutrition is literally just your nutrition or your food around your workout window. So your pre, intra, and post. Pretty much as simple as that, without going into too much detail on it. The role carbs play during your workout, energy. So we will go into more detail on it, but carbs fuel your workout. They help with contraction and keep you going throughout your workout. That's why, obviously, some of us will take intra-workout. I'll break this down into more detail after. We'll go into post-workout after this bit as well. Do you want to go into that, Vaughn?
Okay, so, sorry, someone's joining that's called coronavirus. That distracted me. Right, so why do we take large bowls? Like, you'll see me eat, like, massive bowls of Cocoa Pop, right? And you're all probably thinking, how is that fair? How are you able to do that? And there's a reason for it. Right, so when we're in the gym, we're smashing weights, we're breaking tissue down. Whoever's got music on, because we could hear it. So we're smashing tissue down. Now, what we're trying to do post-workout is we're trying to instantly start up the recovery and the recuperate process. Right now, what we have is we have a large bolus of carbohydrates that offsets we call muscle protein breakdown, right? So we're in the gym, smashing weights, breaking down. Now that breakdown process continues thereafter. But if we imagine that the whole day, say this is a seesaw, right? And we've got breakdown and we've got building. We want the building side to win, right? So we're in the gym and this happens. So straight after the gym, boom, we want the other side of the seesaw to win, right? So we put in this large bolus of carbohydrates, we stop this breakdown, but we want to elicit some sort of building, right? Well, how do we do that? Well, we need to put in the building blocks of protein, which is amino acids. So I'll often favour like a whey protein shake because it's in its simplest form and it's easily digested. So this is why you can't just have carbs post-workout and expect it to help you gain tissue. It'll stop you breaking down, but it's not going to help gain. So you kind of have like, this is why you'll see it on our meal plans. If you want like a macro-based plan, it'll say like dose protein adequately in each meal. You know what I mean? Unless you want a specific meal plan that'll say post-workout have your 50, 60 grams of whey. Now, I think that the post-workout parameter, the peri-workout nutrition, for as much as it is pre, intra, and post, it's post-workout too as well. So there's only so many grams of carbs you can get in one sitting. Right now, I'm getting about 300, and any more, it's like, right? So I think if you have that within, like, say, for me, it's like a 45-minute window of training, getting in a second meal, I call it post-workout 2, within like a 2.5, 3-hour window of training will really help as well. And that's where I'd favour putting a lot of your carbohydrates because it'll minimise fat gain. The further you get away from the workout parameter, you'll often see Geraldine more favour like white potato or sweet potato or basmati rice, stuff that's maybe perhaps not as quite high as GI. Like we're not smashing the Pop-Tarts all day. Maybe Ali is. I don't know.
On occasions.
Right, on occasion. But yeah, so that's how I try and describe it. We've got this seesaw and we want the building side to win all day. But the peri-workout nutrition, I hope, does that make sense or is that a bit too complicated?
The other reason as well for anyone that's wondering why Vaughn's obviously on about Cocoa Pops, or you see people taking in a real big bolus of a big carbohydrate meal post-workout. I think a really easy way to think about it is when you take carbs in, obviously insulin's secreted, and insulin helps to open up your cells to absorb all the nutrients. That's the easiest way to think about it. So you want to have a big amount of carbs post-workout and post-workout too. Everyone's will be dependent on your calories, how much food you can handle, etc. So don't just go smashing loads of Pop-Tarts because you think that's how you get jacked. It also depends on what you're like at digesting food, things like that. So all these come into play with it.
Now, I had a pretty good question that I'm going to address pretty quick, Ali. It was the one that you, I think, got asked because I think the same person messaged me the same question. Now, I think this was in regards to someone asking about supplements I would recommend to increase your sodium or potassium intake, or specifically the sodium potassium pump. Now that's a very physiological based question that a lot of people have just went over their head, right? So we have this pump that's within tissue where we call it a pump. It's not necessarily a pump itself. It's actually an ion channel, and all it will do is it will help, say, fluid balance within a cell, right? So we have sodium, potassium going down different gradients, and water going with either one. If you have a depletion or an imbalance of either one, you will naturally notice a little bit more fluid coming on board. Have you ever seen like a bodybuilder who just looks like watery, really, really watery? Blood pressure is probably like 140 over like 90 or something like that, right? Something crazy. Often, if you were to ask them what their sodium or potassium intake is, they'll probably just give you a blank look like that, right? Because they've probably got no idea. But the balance that it's going to play within just maintaining systolic diastolic blood pressure is real. But the thing is, would I recommend a supplement to get them in? No, just eat a well-balanced diet. So, for example, in a lot of foods that we eat in our current diet, you've got added sodium in nearly everything, right? In regards to potassium, green veg, actually eat some vegetables and fruit, right? I'll admit, I used to be pretty bad for this. When I'm bulking, it was horrendous. I would go from like literally prep last year, like green veg in every single meal. To the minute I was bulking, no veggies, fuck all. Whereas now, I have it still 3 times a day, and my blood pressure is sitting about 125 over 85, which is not too bad, all things considering, right? So what I also would recommend, buy low salt. It's literally called low salt, and it's got more potassium in it than it would do sodium. The main thing you're probably going to be deficient in is potassium. Why? Because a lot of people eat fuck all veggies, eat fuck all fruit, and if you're a bodybuilder and you like doing your macros, you're probably smashing hundreds of bagels, hundreds of breads, and not a lot of fruit when your calories get high. It's just because what we do, right? Because we're like, oh yeah, it's sweet, we can fit this in. But like, without going into too much detail, because just play an integral in fluid balance within any cell in the given body.
That's turned off. That's ready.
I'm just muting you, mate. It will also help with muscle contraction. All right. So this is why when you see someone that's perhaps like really flat on stage, or like they can't get a pump if they're doing a pole shoot, it's probably because they got fuck all salt in the diet, right? Because what's going to happen with salt is going to be it's going to draw water with it. You do still want to have a little bit, like, you want to be dry, but you don't want to be dry at the bone where you can't physically get a pump. Because what's going to go with water into a muscle? Glucose, right? What's glucose going to make the muscle belly size do? Look fuller, right? So someone who's really, really flat, it's probably because they got fuck all. This is why someone that takes like a loop diuretic just looks ridiculously flat and they can't get fuck all. Anyway, that's a different question. That's a different scenario. But I hope that makes sense. So low salt, green veg, and fruit. Ali, next one.
So this next question is about nutrition, but it's a bit, I suppose, a bit different. The question is, any potential negative aspects of backloading a lot of calories? For example, if you're having 2,000 calories a day, backlogging 1,000 of them for between 7 and 9 p.m, as that's when they're most hungry. So I would say this is like, I'll answer it in 2 different ways. From a Gen Pop perspective, or someone that's like not as advanced, a lot of people and a lot of coaches, myself included, might do that with clients, because not that much, by the way, that's a bit of a strong example, but you might try and get a client who struggles at night with hunger to keep some of their food for later on, just because it'll help them adhere, they'll be able to stick to their diet, and perhaps they're really busy at work all day, they just get home and after a workout they're more hungry. In terms of a competitor point of view, you don't really want to be smashing loads of food right before you go to bed. unless you're like me and you fall asleep the moment your head hits the pillow and your sleep quality is very good, eating right before you go to bed can have a negative effect on sleep for numerous reasons. I'd also say if you're keeping a lot of your calories for at night, and most likely you're training before that, you're not utilizing your carbohydrates for energy. You're just utilizing it for hunger, which is a bit different, because if you're dieting, at some point you are going to be hungry. You should still be prioritizing your sessions first. It's something. So I actually fasted the whole of prep last year, which and I mean fasted to like 2 and trained fasted. And see, if I was looking at my logbook numbers the other day, and they weren't good, because guess what? I didn't have any energy because I kept fasting all the time. So next year when I prep, I'm going to keep my intra workout in there. There's still going to be a pre-workout meal. So it depends. Backloading calories, if you're just looking for general fat loss, is okay. I wouldn't backload loads of them because you'll feel a bit bloated going to bed. And also, depending on what you eat, if you're looking for performance, I would probably suggest not doing that.
I would also add that if your goal is like physique development and you're trying to maximize that change, digestive secretions and enzymes are down-regulated or start to be down-regulated like 2-3 hours before sleep onset. Now, that should tell you that if you've backloaded all that food, and if the goal is to adhere to the diet, then do it. Absolutely do it. But if the goal is to get fucking jacked and to look good and to gain tissue and minimize fat gain, and have optimal digestion, I wouldn't be eating straight before bed because you won't digest it that well, right? And there's that whole catchphrase, we are what we eat, but it's we are what we eat, digest, assimilate, and do not excrete, right? So from a digestive perspective, I would add to that it's maybe not optimal, but from like an adherence point, 100%. If you say, Vaughn, I will binge, I will go off plan, if I don't eat and backload like Ali, and Ali stepped on stage and he looked pretty fucking good after doing that. It's just the thing is, his performance in the gym was shit. What's the one thing you want to hold onto when you're as a competitor or anyone dieting? Performance in the gym, because you know it's going to hold on the tissue. So, next question. I was asked if it's possible to gain muscle tissue whilst at maintenance. Now, I'm going to add to that and say, because people think, well, what if I'm in a deficit? Now, 2, perhaps 3 scenarios here. Number 1, you're assisted, 100%, you can add tissue, whether you're at maintenance or deficit. If you're progressing load, anabolism is super, super high. Anabolism is just pretty much a fancy word for growing, or the sort of message in the body to grow. Now, if you're a newbie to exercise, and it's the first time you've ever done any sort of loading in a gym, that novel stimulus, or that new stimulus, will be enough on what we call an mTOR pathway, which is a fancy word for, which is just a fancy word for a signal in the body that tells a muscle cell to grow, is so strong that you will grow, right? Another scenario. Let's take a methodology of training that you have never done before, ever, right? Maybe you're that guy that's always just 8 reps, 8 reps, 8 reps, and that's all you do. And then all of a sudden you have a time period where you start doing 12, 15, 20 reps, high volume shit, right? Loads of negatives, loads of tempo stuff. So if you went from one stimulus to another, it won't really matter for a small time period where your nutrition's at. There will come a time where the body will dictate, right, I'm going to choose survival, and that muscle can get to fuck. I'm not going to put any energy towards adding tissue. I'm going to put energy towards just recovery to where it's at. And if you're natural, you will accept that over a prolonged dieting phase, you will lose a small amount of muscle mass. I'm sorry to break your hearts, right? But if you actually apply yourself and train very fucking hard, you can hold on to it. So the question for the person who asked it is, well, right now you're not at maintenance, you're in a deficit. However, we have put in a training stimulus that you are not used to, and you're training way harder than you've ever trained before. So if load is just going to simply do this, if this was a graph and it was going up, right, what's the adaptive response to the muscle going to be? Grow, get stronger. And then eventually, once you've had weeks of progressive training, there'll be 1 week where everything will just fucking die. It'll be like a brick wall, nothing will progress. And I'll say, now you're training hard enough. Legit, right? Because there will come a point, like when I'm prepping, I'll stop getting stronger. I'll actually actively not go to failure, right? Again, that's a different story, but I hope that answers that question. Ali, you got anything to add?
Nah, well, you've covered most of that, to be fair.
Okay. You got another one?
Yeah, this one's a pretty easy one for both of us to answer, but people do like this question. Well, like questions about what we do. It just says go to pre-workout meals. Now I can pretty much answer mine and Vaughn's here because he's ate the same thing for about 5 years. My pre-workout meal, well, when it was before lockdown, I would do clients right before till I trained. So I actually I just have a shake and some Squares bars, really easy calories, good carbs, and easy for me to digest. I actually find that if I go for a meal that's a little bit heavier, I suppose, like a lot of people will eat things like chicken, white rice, or basmati rice, so easy to digest. I actually feel I'm a bit sluggish, but I am diabetic, so obviously my blood sugar levels will affect my performance. So that, for me, is a really simple carbohydrate source, and obviously I take protein in. Vaughan, I could answer this, just has oats, protein, and I don't know if you have frozen berries in it, but it's basically oats and protein as his pre-workout meal.
So Ali is correct. For the past 4 years, I've had oats and whey pre-workout, and it's always been the chocolate cookie whey isolate 90 from bulk powders mixed with about 100 to about 120 grams of oats. Depends if I'm dieting or not. However, at the current moment, I am not having any pre-workout meal. And you're probably thinking, oh, but Vaughan, what you just said about losing muscle and whatnot, let me explain. You wake up at 4:15 a.m., good luck digesting any food before you train at 5 a.m. It's not going to happen. So what I do instead, I'll have a pre-workout shake, like an actual one that gets you fucking buzzing, like something like NB Pre 2 or Complete Strength or Trained by JP. Now, I will have an intra-workout drink. Now, in that intra-workout drink, there'll be something called cyclodextrin, which has high molecular weight, low osmolarity, and that's a fancy word for saying it's rapidly absorbed and digested by the stomach. Right, so when you intake water through the mouth, it's absorbed to the bloodstream in about 5 minutes. Right? When the cyclodextrin goes in, I don't know the actual time from a scientific paper, but it gets in the system pretty quick. So that pre-workout meal that I would usually consume about 90 minutes before, like an oats and whey, which is quite slow releasing, that when that cyclodextrin goes in, it's ready available fuel. It's right there for using throughout the workout. But also, I take in 80 grams of cyclodextrin. At times, I have taken 120. Now, you might use all that throughout your workout, but what you perhaps do, you start to then, like I have Pecto Pro, or essential amino acids, right? So I'm taking on a protein. So we spoke about this seesaw earlier on, right? About why we're taking this large bolus of carbohydrates. So if I've taken intra-workout cyclodextrin, but I'm not using it all, I'm using some of it, right? To do the weights, give it the beans and all that, and my Pecto Pro, I'm then starting the recuperate process. We talked about this large bolus of carbohydrates, dosing protein. You start to then already start to recover. Like, let's say, for example, you're smashing quads and hands. You've done quads, and you're now working your hands. As you're working your hamstrings, your quads are already recovering because you're peri-workout nutrition, like Ali said earlier on. So see how it all links, comes full circle. So, yeah, I always think that if you're going to train first thing in the morning, spend more time in bed, sleeping, recuperating, recovering, because not enough of us value our sleep. And the thing is, sleep is the most anabolic thing in the world. And here's the thing, it's free. You don't need to pay a shady guy 30, 40 quid for a vial of it. Right? Okay. So what I'm saying is that, yeah, value your sleep, but if you're going to train at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., just wake up half an hour before, have a strong coffee, pre-workout, and go in. Do not buy like the cheaper equivalents, right? People say, "Oh, Vaughn, I can get maltodextrin for like a fiver, and cyclodextrin's 35 quid." I say, "Yeah, with maltodextrin, you can be bloated to fuck because it's going to draw a lot of water into the gut." Because I said about that low osmolarity, high molecular weight, it's total opposite for maltodextrin. High osmolarity, low molecular weight, a long time to be digested, a long time to be like digested from the stomach and absorbed in the bloodstream, and you just feel bloated. And what you're trying to do throughout your workout, minimize digestive stress, minimize like any bloating or anything going on with your digestive system. You don't want to be happening, because when we're training, we're sympathetic. We're in a sympathetic state. We're sort of stressed. Our heart rate's going. Digestion is not that state. Digestion is like killed, can state, right? That a bit too OCD, that question.
The other thing with that as well is, so Vaughn mentioned digestion, but I think a lot of people fail to realise how important that is. So, as you said about maltodextrin, there's a reason. There's another question about supplements, and there's a reason sometimes you shouldn't just go for the cheapest thing because it's not that great. But if you're not monitoring your digestion, you're having a meal that you like, but you're not digesting well going into a session, it's not going to be that effective, to be honest. I personally, even cyclic dextrin, don't really handle it very well, even at lower amounts. So you do have to take that all into consideration. Don't just smash what you see some person on Instagram smash and then feel crap about it. In our check-in sheet, it does say about digestive stress. It needs to be something you're looking at for every part of your meal, really, but especially pre-workout meal.
Okay, I think, was I following on from your question? So it's me to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, this question was really sort of lengthy. I'm going to try and break it down as best I can. And it said, if you wanted to build strength and stability at the end range of movements, specifically the end range of movements, what's the best way to approach this? I'm going to answer that first, and that should answer the rest of the question. So we are incredibly weak at extremities, right? What do I mean by extremities? Do a bicep curl as hard as you can, where a muscle's short, straighten your arm, so where a muscle's long, right? So when you're in the gym and you're doing like a bicep curl, you'll probably find that, well, okay, could you hold a bicep curl at the top for very long before it starts to really burn and get really sore? Probably not. If you think, Vaughn, you're a total liar, go do it, right? Go do it in the gym tomorrow, let me know how you get on. So what I'm saying is that, of course, we want to go where we're weak, 100%. Why? It is the best opportunity for us to grow and get stronger. However, do we have the capacity to spend much time where we're weak? Absolutely not. Why? Too much fatigue, and also you're going to cramp, and you're going to cramp really, really bad. And after you've done, like, if you were to perhaps spend a bit of time where the quad's short, let's say you're doing right now everyone's doing a banded leg extension, right? Okay, and that's great and that's cool. The clients that we've programmed in a banded leg extension hold for 30, 60 seconds after doing a set. Are we making you do more than one or two? No. Why? Because it's fucking sore. Right? And if we ask you to do it for longer, you would just cramp. So what I would say is, I would always actively say we want to get strong across the whole range of the movement. We want to control the lift into where we're weak. So for example, in the hack squat, how many guys, and you would have saw from me this last year, bounce out the bottom, go down really fast, bounce out the bottom, all momentum, hit the bottom, come back up. How much muscle fiber recruitment do you think they've got at the bottom when their quad's weak? Next to zero, right? Fuck all. Maybe not zero, maybe some, not a lot. What about if you controlled it for 3 seconds on the way down, right? From there, you would then pause, like you see me and Ali do, and then drive out. I understand this isn't a question on nutrition, I just realised. So I'm going to try to set this up. And fire this back to Ali, but I thought I was halfway through answering it anyway. Right, so what I would say is to increase fibre recruitment out at a bottom range, go there slowly, actively contract there, turn the muscle on, and come out. Then spend longer than a second at the bottom of a hack squat because you will not do many reps. I understand it's about nutrition, but I hope that answers
that. This one, sorry by the way, because this one's kind of a bit more specialist, but any coaches in here, quite a good question for you. But someone asked fasting safely during Ramadan and exercise, what foods to eat, etc. Now, the what foods to eat's going to just be what's on your diet plan, but this is so my client Manny, you've probably seen him on my Instagram. He did a photo shoot. He was meant to be competing this year, but shows are off. But he is dieting, and it's a way to be Ramadan. He literally just sticks to the plan, but in that 4-hour window that you can eat, he'll get up and break the fast with a small amount of food. I'll go through this quick, by the way. Breaks with a small amount of food. He'll then wait, eat a little bit more, then train, and then he'll have a post-workout meal. So if you ever have any clients on Ramadan, it's what happens normally in Ramadan, it's meant to be like a family gathering and you just eat a lot. But what's going to happen when you've broke a fast that you've been on all day? People just straight away want to eat loads. It's not really how you should go about it. So especially if you've got clients to compete, do photo shoots and are taking part in Ramadan, you can still work through it pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I had a client last year who, she told me this 2 weeks in, right? When I did one-to-one PT, she comes in and she goes, oh, by the way, just let you know, started Ramadan a couple of weeks ago. I'm fasting. I went, what? Like, this was like halfway through the session. We'd just done like a couple of big ass sets on the hack squat. And I was like, how are you? Are you feeling okay? Are you live? Do you want to just chill out? And she was like, no, the body adapts pretty quick. And like legit, she was able to train during the day, no problem. I'm not advising this, by the way. I'm just telling you a story. Able to train, no problem, and she was fine. And the body will adapt. The human beings, the human body's amazing. But moving on, I got asked a question about the relevance of BCAAs, and if you could elaborate on, say, right, do you have to take them? I suppose is what people are saying. Absolutely not. No. Do I think they help? Yeah. And if you have been listening intently, which I hope some of you have been, when I rambled on, or me and Ali were rambling on about peri-workout nutrition, and especially, for example, me, first thing in the morning, taking a Pepto Pro, you're probably wondering what that is and what BCAAs are, right? I feel that supplementing some sort of whole, complete protein into workout would be beneficial for offsetting muscle protein breakdown and upregulating muscle protein synthesis. Whoever's phone's ringing. Got it. So, right, whoever's phone's going, please. Thank you. Right, so BCAAs in general, right, we have protein. Building blocks of protein are amino acids. I have 9 essential ones, right, that the body needs, right, other non-essentials. BCAAs have 3. Essential amino acids as a supplement have 9, right? Which one would you think would be more effective at stimulating that mTOR pathway, that fancy word for a muscle signaling pathway in the body? Would be the one that has 9, all right? Okay, leucine, which is one of them, and we'll often say have, meat sources that have at least 5 grams of leucine has the biggest impact on this muscle building signal. However, there was a couple, I can't remember the name of the papers I read, it was last year or 2 years ago, that had shown that something like a complete protein, like essential amino acids or Pepto Pro, and you'll keep banging on about that's a bit more expensive, or roughly the same price, would be more favourable on that pathway. Now, a Pepto Pro is just undergone, costly digestive processes, or it bypasses those costly digestive processes within the body, so it gets absorbed in the system, quote unquote, quicker. How quick? I couldn't tell you. I just know that from a muscle gaining perspective and from a bodybuilding perspective, I will always be about getting that extra 1%, right? And if having protein intra-workout, and let's face it, I'm on 300 grams of protein a day, right? Some people struggle to get in 60. So if having 20 grams my intra-workout helps me get my 300 in, and helps me stay on this seesaw Remember, I always refer back to the seesaw, the building, the breaking down. Remember, to be winning the building side of things all day, which is what we want, we have to have a constant influx of protein, whether it's through drinking or eating, right, throughout the whole day. So if I'm training and if I get up at 4 and I don't eat till 7, I need some sort of protein going in. So it would make sense for me to be having protein intra-workout, right? I'm not going to eat a chicken breast intra-workout, especially at 5 in the morning. I'm just not doing that. I don't know anyone that does it. Actually, I saw Eddie Hall eating cured pork intra-workout in one of his latest videos where he ate his old strongman diet. Do not do that. You're not Eddie Hall. Maybe you are. Maybe the next future Eddie Hall. I don't know. No, Ali certainly isn't. Right? But in terms of the relevance of BCAAs, do you really need them? Nah. Right? But considering I might be working with a supplement company soon, you might definitely need them and you should buy them for that supplement company and make me commission on that one. Nah, I'm not saying they're essential, but the word essential amino acids, I think, gives a false perception to selling the people that they're essential. I think they should be called complete amino acids. But that's just my theory.
I think with that as well, though, Von mentioned with the different types of like cyclodextrin and maltodextrin, then he's mentioned their BCAAs and EAAs. Now, what happens a lot with supplements is people want to take loads of supplements because it kind of makes them feel like bodybuilder style. So they have loads of these different supplements. And this will tie into one of the questions I got asked, but what happens a lot is, and I'm not the best with panels on supplements, but a lot of the supplements you get for cheaper are cheaper for a reason. So that's why BCAAs are cheaper, EAAs are better. Can you get it from food? Yes. But be aware when you're buying supplements, because if you're going to like bulk powders and stuff like that, I have personally found that, especially whey proteins or isolates, people can get more digestive stress from it. It's probably because it's a far cheaper product. So watch when you're buying like super cheap supplements. There's a reason they're cheap. You're probably not getting as much dose as you think you are. And that will tie into the next question, which is, what supplements do we take? I think, was it? Yeah, so someone asked, we won't go into the full list of supplements, by the way, but it was favourite supplements and brands. So me and Vaughn...
You could go into your full supplement list if you want. I will. I could rattle mine off.
Mate, we'd be here till tomorrow. I think, to be honest, with the supplements, so obviously myself and Vaughn are both assisted bodybuilders. The word assisted will tell you that we probably need a little bit more supplementation than some people. I personally take, the main ones would be Dr. Dean's Health Stack, Dr. Dean's CV Stack and Liver Stack. I also take just a creatine. I take Insight Supps, Creamax, and I take Complete Strength EAAs. They would be the main ones. The other ones are going to be your pretty bog standard stuff. I also take ashwagandha post-workout, and I can't remember what brand it is because I keep all my supplements in a little tray. So I can't remember half the ones on it. Where I buy most of my supplements would be Insight Supps and Supplement Needs are both very good and highly dosed. Also, Complete Strength are good because their prices are a little bit lower, and they still have very good products. But the supplements in general, Vaughn will go through the other ones he takes. If you want details on what they're about, just message in the box because we can see it.
Yeah, I take a lot of stuff. For a lot of
different.
Right, so I mean, I guess I could post a photo tomorrow of how many pills I take in the morning and at night. But in the morning, all of what Ali said in regards to Dr. Dean's Health Stack, I'll take Super K, which is a special brand of potassium. Again, I'm not going to go into the reasons for why I'm taking all these. Glucosamine sulfate. I take calcium, supplement calcium. Why? Because I just don't have dairy. I don't have much dairy in my diet or calcium. Did I say glucosamine? Yeah, I did. Fish oils, or there's a big thing about everyone's buzzing on krill oil. I'm like, just fucking stick to your usual fish oils. You'd be absolutely fine. Vitamin D3, although it's getting sunny, I was out Sunday the other day, so might not need to take. I might need to pull that out. Right now, I'm taking a thyroid aid. It's like a thyroid support. I used to take a lot more, specifically because I wasn't taking Dr. Dean's Health Stack. But when you take that, it's a lot larger amount of pills, and I might switch from that to Complete Strength Health Aid because it's got almost everything. When I take liposomal glycethamine by Dr. Dean's Stack at night, I will take Dr. Dean's Priming Stack. I dropped ashwagandha, by the way, Ali. Simply, this one's got phosphatidylserine in it, which is a way more powerful adaptogen than ashwagandha. I've often felt now with ashwagandha, it's more like for me, it was more up here. It was like what's the word? You take it, but it doesn't really do much. Placebo. Yeah, right. It was more like a placebo for me. So I dropped that. I won't always, but in the evening. So I just had that Dr. Dean's Priming Stack in there. I'll take maybe like magnesium glycinate before bed with zinc, 5-HTP and melatonin if I want like a shit hot sleep. And with that stack, I'll be out like a light and I won't wake up. But if like melatonin can make you feel pretty groggy in the morning, so considering I'm getting up at 4 a.m, I often won't take it. Like I've had a pretty banging leg session this morning. I'm totally fucked. So I'll take the stack, the magnesium, the zinc, the 5-HTP, but not the melatonin.
By the way, if anyone, just speaking about sleep, if anyone does struggle with sleep, I personally don't. I'm one of those like genuinely I could fall asleep sitting here, but I've had a few clients that do struggle with sleep. Now, obviously, having like sleep hygiene before bed is very important. Don't sit on your phone. Don't be like running around in circles, stuff like that. But if you do struggle with sleep, I've had a few clients using so Dr. Dean's sleep stack, I've had a few people using, but the Complete Strength, and I think it's called Calm. I've had a few clients giving me really good feedback on that being like, I've had clients who like genuinely were getting 4 hours sleep and they've been using that and have been getting very good feedback from it. So remember, if you are struggling to sleep, supplements are the last thing you should aim for, but if you really do need them, sleep's very important. Try good supplements, by the way. Don't buy stuff out Holland and Barrett or Tesco, but things like that can be really effective in helping your sleep cycle.
I think, what I forgot to mention was Ali interrupted me. I wasn't finished telling you what supplements to take. Thanks for that one, Ali. I forgot to mention I take a men's multivitamin, and that you will get women's multivits that will be a little bit different in regards to what their needs are. That links into one question, which I will not go into too much detail about. It was asking about supplements for female bodybuilders, but the question wasn't related to whether they were natural or assisted. It would be very different to whether they were assisted, and I would suggest that they would be taking something that was supporting the liver as well as the health stack. But the thing is, if they were assisted, they're not going to be really on cycle for that long enough to affect the blood panel. They'll need much more than that. Natural female bodybuilders, it's totally person dependent, and I can't go into too much detail without knowing your food intake, your macronutrient intake, your micronutrient intake, and whatnot. So yeah, that was just one I wanted to add because I just had a thought. But the main question, there was one here about eating a certain amount of protein and is it body weight dependent? Someone's asked something in the chat. I will get to that.
I've got that.
I'll answer that next. In regards to your overall protein intake, right? This isn't something that you can necessarily kind of get too wrong if you're keeping it around your body weight. I think if you keep it around your body weight, you're just a little bit under where I'd want you to be, which to start off with anyone, which would be 1.1 gram per pound of body weight. Now, as someone gets a bit bigger, right, of course that's got to go up to support the amount of muscle mass that they have. Whether you go 1.2, 1.3 gram pound of protein per body weight, it's completely dependent. If someone is assisted, it's going to be a lot more, right? For example, I was on stage 225 pounds, consuming 280 grams of protein a day. Now that I'm bulking, we've pushed up to 300, and I'm sitting at about 260 pounds. When I go up to 280 pounds, I guarantee that'll go up to about 320. because the level of muscle mass is getting more and more and more, right? And again, is that person dependent? Should it stay constant? I think that if you've been training for, like, let's say a year, probably not going to change. And when it does change, it's going to be small. It's going to be like a 10, 15, 20 gram increase over time. But often you'll see in these forums, and listen, I've done this before as well. Oh, you must take 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Fuck that. You just get so much shit digestion, no pun intended, right? But you get really bloated, you get lots of digestive issues. So often if someone is experiencing digestive issues, and I've went down the rabbit hole and I've looked at going gluten-free, this, that, and the next thing, one of the main things I'll do is just be like, where's the protein intake at? Especially guys that come in that are like bigger guys that have been listening to like Big Davey on a forum telling them how to get big and take D-balls for breakfast and whatnot. So yeah, it's person dependent, but it's not really. You could argue and say, well, just generically, work out your body weight in pounds, times it by 1.1. There's a pretty good starting point. And if you think your recovery is impeded, up it. If you think that you're getting a lot of DOMs, but you sleep really well and your volume's quite low, up your protein intake. Guarantee you're not going to be as sore. The logbook will go up. That's something that maybe you've probably never thought of to do. Yeah?
Yep.
Ali?
Yeah, like the thing is, the big one again, I have literally said this to about 5 of these, but it's digestion. What you find is some people hit, like, there is literally like a level of protein they get to that anything higher is very hard to get in, because obviously there's more satiety in protein. It's harder to break down. So what you have to find is, if you do suddenly get really jacked and have to push your protein up, it's probably not going to happen, by the way.
I've been trying to get really jacked for 5 years. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yes, same. But like, if you are struggling to get your protein targets in, what you can do is choose different sources of protein. So we obviously know that like things like whey isolate's easily digested, easier to take in. If you're trying to get in all your protein through chicken, it's probably going to be quite difficult. So just watch for that. That's all I need on that. Ryan, you asked when we were speaking earlier about why would you take ashwagandha? So ashwagandha, to be honest, it's like a herbal like supplement. So there's a lot of, and I don't know if these studies are actually proper. Chloe might actually know, but I don't know. But if they've done like proper research into it, but it's like it can help like stress, anxiety, things like that. The reason people in bodybuilding use it is that after a workout, you're obviously amped up, your body's amped up. We're trying to bring yourself back into a parasympathetic state, and that's why we use it. But as Vaughn says, it's hard to know, because if you live like us and you're pretty much so routined, you don't know if it's the ashwagandha that's doing it or not. So that's what I would say about that.
Thank you.
I actually have a slide on this. Ali, remember I did...
Yeah.
So I did something called Modern Methods of Fat Loss at Pure Gym last year. When was it, Ali?
It was the start of last year. I
in that, I talked about ashwagandha. Now, I was just looking on here to see if, I guess I could show you. It's not got actual studies on it, but it'll give you a rough idea of what it does. So like last week, I'm just going to share the screen. So if you're on your phone, you might need to zoom in. Right, so I did this last year at Pure Gym. It was just a sort of power presentation about how to lose fat and things that you maybe perhaps don't go into. So I did a bit of research, funnily enough. And I can't remember what paper I got that from. I guess probably a more educated Vaughn a few years ago would have referenced that at the end of the PowerPoint, but I didn't. But it just shows you some of the benefits here of what it does. Like adrenal fatigue, your adrenal glands are the sort of main glands that will respond to stress within the body, and they will, like, what they will do is they will release a hormone called cortisol. It is the main body's hormonal response to stress. All right, what does ashwagandha do? There you go, in bold. Right, lowers cortisol levels. Right, And then just other things like if, commonly nutrients depleted by stress. It's why we might supplement, especially if you're a female, B vitamins, right? Because you often be deficient in that, and you got to think about menstrual cycle support. But then everything else like magnesium, zinc, etc., etc. So I think that was just the one slide I had on ashwagandha. It just literally cropped in my mind when you said, and I thought I'll just bring up. It might be of relevance. I think it's me next, isn't it?
Yeah.
The question was one for Clara that was asked about preventing post-show weight gain. Now, again, because not everyone in here is a competitor, let's just say post-diet weight gain, right? So, for the most part, we work a lot with first-time competitors or people that do a photo shoot for the first time, right? It's the first time they have ever been that lean in their life. They have no idea. It is new territory from them. They have never felt like that before. So everything that they knew, everything that's coming to them is hitting them and it's new. And they're going to experience it and they're going to embrace it. If you've done that before and you manage to not binge and give in to cravings and whatnot, well done. You are probably 1 in 100, right? Because naturally, if you've never been lean before, what have you always done growing up as a kid? What did your mum and dad always tell you? Eat all the food on your plate. Eat till you're full. When you're hungry, eat. What do we then, me and Ali, a couple of bastards, do? Stop fucking eating. Don't you eat that, right? We tell you, right? So then you spend months doing this, and then you start going, oh, wow, I'm hungry, but I'm not allowed to eat. I've never dealt with this before. But you've got a strong, powerful goal, right? I want to look good in a bikini. I want to look good in shorts or with my top off. And all's well and good. So the signal to eat's not there. So those chocolate biscuits that are in the tin, they stay in the tin. They're not getting touched, right? However, show happens, that's gone. It's been such a euphoric moment, and you come down from it, and you get hungry. Do you think those chocolate biscuits have got a fucking chance? Probably not, no, right? Now, how do you prevent it? Weight gain will happen. It will happen. Your body didn't want it. If you work with us, we use natural diuretics to pull out intracellular water weight. You're going to gain about 5 pounds, 6, 7 pounds at least, right? Within a couple of days. So I will always push someone up from that weight, not their stage weight or their shoot weight, from like 2 or 3 days, 4 or 5 days post, you could say, diet, when they've had some meals. Then I'll say, and I'll say, listen, this is okay. In the next couple of days, this is what will happen. You are allowed, it is okay to eat some meals, just don't eat like a fanny. Sometimes I used to say, don't eat like, as I would say, eat like an adult. And then I realised that 60% of adults in the UK are obese or overweight. So I said, don't eat like an adult, just don't eat like a fanny, right? Now, here's what I do. And I had a client, Kira, she's not in the chat, but she told me post-show, and I'll say this, she smashed 3 Easter eggs, 4 Easter eggs in 2 days. And I went, listen, it's fine, you're not in trouble, it's not like a punishment exercise. I says, but I know personally, right, I'm not a huge chocolate fan, ever, right? Wouldn't really choose it over anything. However, after I've dieted, if it's in the house, the first 2 weeks after the show, it's fucking gone. It's in the house for a second, and it's gone on the second. The whole fucking bar. Like that. So what did I not have in the house for 2 weeks post-show or post-diet? Chocolate. Simple as that. Right? Why? Because I can't control myself. So one time, if you ask me, I'm a robot, I'm ruthless, I have no connection with food, but that fucking Galaxy Caramel Share Bar comes in, it's mine, and there's no one else, no one's getting a bit. Right? So I will just say, right, set yourself a challenge for 2 weeks that you will abstain from going out and buying all the goodies and hoarding them. People like that when they diet, they hoard shit in a box. But this is my post-diet box. I'm going to eat all this after I finish diet. Why? Just get fat really quick. So here's what you do instead. Naturally, you're going to want a chocolate bar or something like that. Don't buy the Share Bar, and don't buy the Tesco's. You get 3 shares bar or you get 2 shares bars for the price of 1. Oh wow! So I'm going to buy 4. No. Just buy the fucking small one. That's fine. Craving satisfied, craving gone. If you do that and you're strict for a couple of weeks, your coach should, don't know about that, speak for Ali, put your calories up quite considerably. Like, they're going to be put up straight away. But if you are pretty, like, I'm not saying strict, right? But if you're pretty rigorous with your intake and you go back to eating how you usually would, because let's face it, you never ate like a fanny before you started dieting, so why are you eating like one now? Yeah, so before you began the dieting phase, 18 weeks before this shoot or show, you never ate like that. So why have you now got 10 fucking McVitie's digestive share tins in the cupboard? Because they never were there before, right? So just go back to those old habits. Now, always implement some sort of, look forward to a meal at the weekend. Me and my partner are going here. Me and the family are going here, right? I'm going to smash my sessions. I'm going to smash my cardio. And it's all right because me and my coach have spoke and I'm going to go there. And it's all right because we've sat and we've explained over a message, over like a call. Listen, probably in the first first couple of weeks post-show, we might be 10 pounds up. That might happen. That's okay. If you've ate conservatively, a lot of it will be fluid. If you've smashed 5, 6, 7, 8,000 calories a day, a lot of it will be fat. Yeah? So it's about assessing the weight that we put on. The gravitational pull of the earth does not dictate if it's all muscle mass, if it's all water weight, if it's all fat mass. It just dictates a value. Only you will know how you've eaten, right? The thing is, I'm 35, 36, 37 pounds up in just over 4.5 weeks, coming up to 5 weeks. I know that if a female bikini girl done that, they're fucked. They need to diet again, right? However, I'm an assisted male and I've not binged and overeat. It's completely different. So it's person dependent. So post-show weight gain or post-shoot weight gain will be different from, I say, a female that weighs 45 kilos to a male that is on steroids and is 105 kilos. You know what I mean? And often, though, the 45 kilo bikini girl will eat like the 105 kilo male bodybuilder their first time post-diet. And it's okay. I did it, right? Okay, I'm not a bikini girl, right? But my first show, 2017, I went to Asda. I bought £64 and 82 pence worth of shit, right? Cakes, Christian, you name it. Put it all on like a desk after my show, which I came last in, by the way. Effectively, I didn't place, so you could say I came last. I was like, this is mine. And just smashed it all. I got a large Domino's, ate 3/4, woke up during the night, ate the rest. After that, I ate a tub of ice cream. You know the point where you're lying on the bed and you physically can't move? That was me, right? That was a low moment in my life where I realised I never want to feel like this again. But I realised I had to do it once to never want to do it again. So this is why I never have any sort of animosity or I'll always have a very understanding if this happens post-show. But if it's happened once, and then you let it happen after the second, third, fourth, fifth show, come on, fuck. Like, you've got to learn from your mistakes, right? It can happen once. It's not ideal, but it shouldn't happen. And I see this time and time again. Someone that I've worked with before, every single fucking show, he binges like crazy, like a motherfucker. And I'm always like, you got to get help on this. And he goes, oh, no, it's fine. I just needed a bit of a binge. I went, no, you didn't. You just fucking wanted one.
See, by the way,
that was a rant.
Sorry, Vaughn. Just for anyone that doesn't compete or hasn't focused on getting lean or anything like that, to kind of break it down what it's like. Now, by the way, this isn't everyone. Some people can totally do that. But imagine there's a big red button in the middle of the room, and me and you are sitting in the room, and I say, don't touch that button. I'm going to the toilet. That's kind of what it feels like post-show. Now, I thought Vaughn was going to throw me under the bus there because Vaughn coached me last year. Now, last year, my prep, I was pretty good with food up until about the last 2 weeks, and I have no idea what happened, where I was on Instagram for 8 hours a day just looking at food. Now, my face, you can see it right now, pretty, I know. I ate so much the day after my show that my face went swollen, right? You can see my cheeks there. Now, so what I have to say to anyone who's looking to diet, change their body composition, anything, like, you can see how well Vaughn's reverse dieted out his show. Now, if I always say this to clients, if you can diet for 16 to 20 weeks, you can diet for another 3 months. It's just about focusing on it because, like, personally speaking, also what Vaughn said there, And by the way, if anyone is dieting and struggles with this, drop me a message because I can tell you what not to do. Because I pretty much messed up my reverse diet last year. Like, I went out for dinner and then I went to an all-you-can-eat posh buffet where they told me to stop eating. And then I went on holiday a week later. Now, all those things people think is a great idea in their head. Oh, I'm getting lean, so I'll go on holiday and be lean. You're not in the position yet where you can control it. And this is something, it happens with Gen Pop clients as well, where people struggle with food. Now, all those things, people are probably going to get a little bit angry at me here, but all those things are controlled by your emotions. If you look at all those things from a practical point, so if you stepped away, if you could float up here and look down on yourself, would you go, oh, that was a good decision? And that's what it's like post-show. It's all those, like almost someone's taking the stabilizers off you. You can now go. So it's really important to, as Vaughn says, like, I didn't nail my reverse diet last year. Like, I actually obliterated it. Like, I looked terrible. I was on holiday looking like a wee tanned, bloated mess with tiny shorts on because it was so bloated they didn't fit. And now when I look back at that, I know next year that's not going to happen. So it's something, as Vaughn said as well, you have to set a plan out and know exactly where you need to be. So if any of you have ever dieted and messed up, don't worry, so have we. But it is something that, as more knowledge comes in and more clients do it, we know how to now set a plan. You can still go for a meal with your loved ones. It's not as if you have to just continue dieting, but there's a way to do it that will work far better than how most people do it.
Yeah.
And any competitors in here, I've seen Chloe laughing, so it might happen. And Sam, you might have done it as well, mate. Like, it's a very difficult thing.
I want to add to this that not a lot of you'll know what goes on up here when you're that lean. And your mental health will be affected, but you will think thoughts that you've never thought in your life before. Now, I've known Ali for a long time, and we've spoken pretty much every day for the past 5 years. And he was like, when he was on prep, he was like a shadow. At the end, he was a shadow of the man that he was. And post-diet for about 3 weeks, to the point where I used to work in Pure Gym, as you know. I'd be in Pure Gym, and I'd be in my break. I'd be doing check-ins. And Ali would be messaging me saying, mate, I'm really thinking of KFC for dinner tonight, and I'm going to have it. And I'd be like, no, mate. I was like, mate, you don't need it. You were just at your fucking buffet the weekend. He goes, no, but I'm having it. I really want it. And he would then justify a big essay about why he should have it and why it was a benefit and why he was going to have it. And I'm sitting there going, who the fuck's this guy? Like, what's he done? What has he done with Ali? But it's just an example of sometimes you do lose your head when you diet, and it's fine, right? It takes a while to come back, but in general, like, I've never known Ali eat a KFC in his life, ever, right? But you'll just crave something that you've never craved before because you saw an advert, it looked good, you smelt it, someone like walked past and they mentioned it, your sense of smell, holy shit. Right, you'll walk past. I was a week out and I was with my granddad in Broughty Ferry, and I was walking him home, and you walk past all these Chinese's, the kebabs and that, and you go, fuck. Right, it's like literally you've had a fucking shot of something, and food tastes really good, like shit food. And I'm going to say those of you that hate green, but probably don't eat green veg, right? But like green beans and eggs, I was like, Rona, this is fucking amazing. Have some of this. Is fucking brilliant. Oats and whey, this is the best meal in the world. Everything's just great. So you can imagine you've got this heightened sense of smell, heightened sense of taste. Post-diet, everything tastes brilliant. Everything is great until it gets to sort of, I don't know if you can hear, everyone's clapping. My end.
There's no one at my end, to be fair.
Loads of people. Yeah, let's get them a clap. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, so as I was saying, it's difficult. It's like you become this different person, and I guess you do, because the amount of times Rona was like, yeah, Vaughn, for the last 6 weeks, you're just not you. And then it takes about 3 weeks for me to get back to me. So for 9 weeks, that clap's still going on here, by the way. So for 9 weeks, you're a different person, and that can cause a huge amount of strain on a relationship. Sometimes just having a word with your partner and just letting them know, like a lot of my male clients will tell me, Vaughn, I'm not sleeping well. Is this normal? Yeah, Cam. Vaughn, by the way, me and the missus used to go at it all the time, but now we're not. Is that all right? I'm like, mate, you need to have a word with her because you're not gonna, like, you're not gonna be interested. And like, realistically, like, unless your partner's understanding, that can cause a huge strain in a relationship. A lot of females can think, oh, something's wrong with me. Have I done something? Is something wrong? Has he seen someone else? When if you've ever been peeled, you will know that sex is the last thing on your mind ever.
Vaughn.
Yeah.
When I was in prep last time, I stayed in the spare room for 8 weeks straight. I would not sleep in the same bed as my boyfriend because his snoring used to wake me up, and because my sleep was so crap, I used to get so angry and just scream at him, so I had to go and sleep in the spare room. And for 8 weeks, that went on for. So it is honestly so tough on a relationship.
It's not just a relationship, so just for anyone that is looking to prep, one of the hard things with it, sorry by the way for keeping you guys, but I've just answered this one and we've had a quick question, but like, I'll apologise to any clients in here, right? Scott's in here, my client Scott McLaren. I was PTing and I could literally feel so normally when I'm coaching one-to-one, if I'm training a client who is a little bit lighter than me and it's heavy, I will put bars on in that. I was sitting down and like, I could feel myself. There might be 10, 15 minutes where I would be analysing, I would still be coaching well, but I would not say a word because I was just so fucked. Now, all those things are okay. Can I just answer this one because we've been asked questions? So,
yeah.
So outsiders not understanding or making someone feel bad for wanting to do a bikini show. So what you have to remember is about competing, we are not the normal ones. Everyone else in the world are the normal people. We are the freaks who want to be exceptionally lean. Like my mates all think I'm a dick. They could not give my mates don't care that I've got to do cardio in the morning. They don't care about that because I'm not having a beer. Whoever's phone's going, could you mute that, please? That other people don't understand it. Like if someone's seen us do a set on a hack squat that doesn't compete, they're going to be like, how is that fun? So what you have to remember is with your friends, outsiders, things like that. One, outsiders don't mean anything. Their opinions are not valid, like in the slightest. Like I remember a guy messaged me when I was like 3 weeks out saying something like ridiculous about like, and I was like, dude, you're like 70 kilos and look like you've never lifted a dumbbell. Like your opinion's not valid. So a lot of people will give their 2 cents. It's not worth it. Your friends, it's simply just about explaining to them, like you would your loved ones, that you need to reverse that properly and especially obviously for bikini girls, there can, and non-bikini like guys as well, but there can be some health implications if you go from being super lean to just piling on weight. So it's something that you really, really need to just drum into your whole circle that don't worry guys, in a month or 2 months I'll be back. I'll be just normal me. We can go for a meal. We can do this. But you're not going to go out with Sarah on a Monday night, Janice on a Tuesday night, everyone else on a Wednesday night. It's not going to be a good idea. The other thing is, if people aren't supporting you, and I might be harsh here, they're not your mates anyway. So yes. It's just genuinely about, they might not understand it, but they will definitely support you if you just say, look, the next few weeks after show, this is what I need to do. I need to still do this. I need to still do that. Most people, and they'll either support you or they'll just be like, and they won't text you for 3 weeks, then they'll text you, hey, do you want to go for it? Like, also find a circle you can speak to. That's a big one. Like, you need people around you who have been there, who you can, like, Vaughn will hate me because last year, I was messaging him like shit. That's why as well, by the way, I took notes on every part of where I fucked up last year. Like, every part I was taking notes on, because if anyone's ever been in prep, you know you take notes on stuff that does not matter. I was honestly crazy, but everything that I messed up last year, I took notes on so I could speak people through why they aren't a good idea. Because if you keep yourself and keep your head and keep your plan, a reverse diet's relatively easy. And then you'll find that you start to see yourself in the mirror and your logbook's going up. You're like, oh my God, I'm getting stronger, but I still look good. That's a cool experience. If you've overdone it and you're sitting there thinking, those 45 cream eggs and 2 packs of cookies weren't worth it, it's not as good. So if that did answer your question, that's good. If not, just drop me a DM on Instagram and I can go into more detail with it for you over WhatsApp.
What I would say as well is that the longer that you do bodybuilding for, the more distant you will be from your normal friends. And that's not a bad thing. That's just the reality of what's happened to like me, is that I've surrounded myself with a lot of bodybuilders and a lot of people that live the same lifestyle. So my mates that love having a beer at the weekend or having a sniff up their nose, which I'm not interested in, our values aren't the same. And I'm pretty ruthless. And I always say if there's something that's not adding, or someone that's not adding joy or value to your life, cut them the fuck out, because all they'll do is bring you down. I know that's nothing to do with a nutrition seminar, but something to just end on, because too often people spend their fucking energy on people that aren't going to do fuck all for you. And that might be a selfish way to look at it, but ultimately, yeah, we're all bodybuilders, right? We're all still a bit selfish in some way. And that's cool, and that's fine. It's just that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And if you choose to spend your time with people that are constantly just values aren't the same as yours, are conflicting, you're going to be a bit lesser as an individual, right? So anyway, that's enough personal development for one webinar. Listen, I know it was just me and Ali, maybe not as good looking, although I'm the good looking of the two. But I hope that you got value and whatnot from tonight. As we always do, the payment for tonight's podcast is there's 21 people here, there's 21 phones. We would simply ask that you get your phone out, you take a little photograph of us, pop on your Instagram, tag us. If you don't, I'm a hound you. Have your email in the chat. I'm going to say, why did you put something on Instagram, tag us? But please do share it. We want to help as much people as we can. We know we upload this to YouTube, and this will be up there on there tomorrow. So if you could share it, maybe perhaps it'll impact one of your friends, someone that you know. Maybe they get a little sort of quote from this that they can